Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers. My name is Bill Matz. I am your director of fun and games for the afternoon on this absolutely beautiful Friday here at the PHLY studios.
It's beautiful.
Joining me today, it's Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. What's up today, Charlie?
It's going pretty well, William. It's a Friday. It's sunny. We're not in the midst of a tornado superstorm
Not
like
yet.
we've been getting
Not
every
yet.
single day, it seems like. That's great.
That is nice. I can just see there's a little extra spring in your step now that, it's basically over. Like the season has finally pretty much wrapped up.
I feel like that the gif of, what is it, Antonio Banderas, when he just like pushes his laptop away and just like sits back with a big smile on his face. That's me right now.
You did have one final responsibility today. We're going to get into a bunch of CBA stuff, NHL, like league, off-ice news, things like that, because I know that's super exciting for everybody. But like we said yesterday, you kind of got to know the rules. And I think it's going to be good for everyone to just get a little explainer, new CBA, and some other things happening around the league. But you did have one more responsibility, because it never ends for the Capital J journalists. Vladar and Dvorak.
Yeah,
they
we
have
talked
spoken.
about Vladar and Dvorak over the last 2 days. Interesting that both of the big signings for the Flyers have the double consonant start to their names.
Oh, that is.
Dvorak and Vladar.
Those are both fun to write. I like
They
that.
are odd names in terms of how they are written.
But I just wanted to get your takeaways from their meetings with the media. I thought the Vladar stuff, there was one interesting thing in there about Kim Dillabaugh, but
There were
let's
a couple
start-
interesting things, yeah.
Let's start with Christian Dvorak.
I think Dvorak was the lesser of
Yeah.
the two in terms of interesting
It
tidbits.
seemed pretty generic. Like, yeah, man, excited to get started.
It just seems like Dvorak is. Let me put it this way: interviewing Dvorak, and he's probably a very nice person. I've gotten good reviews from him in terms of, he's a good guy, but it doesn't seem like he is the most engaging in interviews.
He will not be your go-to post-game, probably.
Probably not. Vladar, on the other hand, he seems like he might be a fun guy to talk to.
All right. Let's start with Dvorak. I just wanted, I didn't see all of his. Did he speak about his relationship with Tocchet or anything?
He did. It was mostly, he mostly spoke in generalities. Didn't
Yeah.
really give specifics. I tried to push him for some specifics on, hey, you had maybe your 2 best seasons as a pro under Tocchet. Is it his system? Is it the way he communicates? And his answer is basically like, yeah, he's a good communicator. He talks with his players. He's great.
That's
Cool.
outstanding.
Cool. Thanks, Christian.
Was there any other real takeaways from Christian Dvorak? Like, it was just kind of boilerplate, it seemed.
It was pretty boilerplate. It's clear that the presence of Rick Tocchet did matter to him. It's also clear that he wants to build off of what he believes was a strong finish to his last season in Montreal. But overall, pretty standard stuff. Happy to be here. Took the 1-year deal because I want to prove myself. Just your usual boilerplate stuff, I would say.
$5.4 million is pretty nice.
Yeah, I would say. Jordan Hall specifically asked Dvorak if he would say how many teams were in on him, and Dvorak said, I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah, I mean,
He tried.
yeah,
Jordan
you
tried.
You ask knowing what it's going to be, but you always ask because players say dumb stuff sometimes.
Sometimes they give
They
you the
just
answer.
say stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Dvorak would not give you. He's like, I'm not going to say, but there was interest.
Yeah. But the Dan Vladar, I did think there were some interesting things in there.
I would agree.
First and foremost, to me, it was the idea that Kim Dillabaugh was kind of behind this, and you even tweeted out as the conversation was going on. I assume this was a Zoom meeting of some sort. That Dillabaugh is actually going to go out to Prague to start working with Dvorak. I think that speaks, one, like, cool, or with Vladar, excuse me. Good. They're getting a head start. They want to start building a relationship, all that. And also, Vladar looking to take the next step in his career.
Sure.
And Kim Dillabaugh looking to stay employed.
That was my big takeaway from that, because it's good. This is absolutely a good thing that the goalie coach is getting a head start on building a relationship with a goalie who's under contract for 2 years, especially given the fact the Flyers goaltending was the biggest problem last year. Hey, anything more you can do, the better. But I do agree with you that my first thought when I heard Vladar say that was nothing to do with Vladar. It had everything to do with Kim Dillabaugh, because going back to the answer that Danny Briere gave on July 1st, number one, when he was asked, hey, why did you guys go for Dan Vladar? And he said, well, when we're picking goalies, in free agency, in the draft, whatever, we obviously very much include Kim Dillaball in this process. And Kim liked what he saw in Dan Vladar. That was one of the reasons why we targeted him once we found out Vladar wanted to become a Flyer, and we made sure we got him locked down. And then I hit him with the follow-up, hit Danny with the follow-up, which is you turned over the entire coaching staff. Kim Dillaball is the only guy who stuck around. The goaltending has been real bad the last 2 years. Why do you have confidence that he should stick around? And Danny basically said, 2 years ago, we don't blame that on him. We blame that on the Carter Hart situation. Yep. He had Hart and Ersson working very well as a tandem. Okay, fair. That the drop off at the end of the year that had them finish dead last.
It was predictable.
That was predictable, and it was because Ersson was pulled out of his comfort zone and they didn't have a backup. Last year, yeah, goalies weren't good. That's not good enough. But we feel like Dillaball has done enough in his time as goalie coach overall to not have us throw him out after one bad year. And then the money quote was, he deserved a look. A look is not job security. A look is a look. A look is,
let's see what you can do.
Yeah, you get one more year under Rick Tocchet. And if the goalies are still bad, if you replicate last year, you probably aren't going to get another year as goalie coach under Rick Tocchet. That is a little bit of public pressure being placed on Kim Dillaball, and perhaps there's private pressure being placed on him as well, kind of being like, Esther get off the pot kind of thing from Danny to Kim Dillaball. Kim Dillaball in July, August, flying to Prague across an entire ocean to another continent to meet with the goalie who maybe isn't even going to be the number one goalie. That tells me that Kim Dillaball got the message. And is like, you know what? I may need to go above and beyond to make sure this works, or else I may be looking for a new job after this season.
And it makes sense because I have no idea if Dillaball is a good coach or not. I am willing to accept 2 years ago the reason, not the excuse, the reason they are giving us, makes sense. We had Ersson on an upward trajectory, and they got to about a timeshare in net, and then when Carter Hart takes his leave of absence, if you want to call it that, there was no backup. We had to get Cal Peterson in there. Like, it was never the plan to make Ersson the number one. And not only was he like, oh yeah, he's like our starter, he was the only goalie. Yeah. He started basically every game for the second half of the season.
They overworked him.
That was never the plan. And then this past season, I am willing to accept, if you want to be optimistic about Kolosov, say he's not ready, but what we were going to do, he was not going to come if he wasn't with the NHL team. Fedotov might just stink. Like, all right, I'm willing to accept that. And Ersson, again, maybe just not a number one. All these things, maybe those are out of the goalie coach's hands. But now we have Dan Vladar, who says he's here to compete. He wants to take his career to the next step. He wasn't happy with his role in Calgary, nor should he be. He got replaced. Like, Dustin Wolf became the guy there. Okay, you want to move on? You want to keep moving forward? We brought in a guy who we think, in Dan Vladar, decent. He's a decent goaltender that Dillaball likes.
Yes.
All right. Let's see what you like about him.
Dillaball endorsed him as a guy that the Flyers should prioritize getting this offseason.
So let's see what you can do with him. Can he become a legitimate backup tandem guy? Can he take his game to the next level? Maybe even supplant Sam Ersson. Maybe he gets more starts. Maybe it's an even split. But can you take it to the next level with a guy we think has the talent, and you told us does, to be even more than he's decent, that he has been to start his career? So that was my biggest takeaway, and it seemed like it was yours too. The pressure is not only on the goaltending, but the evaluation and the coaching at the position as well. It also made me think, and I know you don't know the answer to this, like, why aren't there just more goalies in front offices? It feels like Patrick Waugh is a coach, and he's been in and out of the league a couple of times now, but like, it's the most important position. We say all the time, it has the most impact on the outcome of a game. Most GMs and coaches are not former goalies.
Yeah,
I'm struggling. I don't know the name of every GM.
Well, the one
like, how many
other coach who I can think of, and I don't know what his job is right now, but Scott Gordon was a goalie.
Yes, okay.
But I can't really think of any others off the top of my head.
It just seems like they don't get into the coaching and management side, and it's, we could probably use an eye. Like, if it's, we have this goalie coach who we're not sure about, but he's choosing basically our goalie for the next 2 years. Like, maybe someone that you have a little more confidence in who also is familiar with the position, but That's just kind of hockey in general. It's not a Flyer specific thing.
I just get the sense that it really is do or die time for Kim Dillabaugh, and it should be.
Yeah.
After the way last year went, really after the way the last 2 years went. But again, you could say that 2 years ago that was, there were unique circumstances that led to the fall off of the goalies, led to, by the end of the year, they had the worst save percentage in hockey. Last year, they just had the worst save percentage in hockey. Simple as that.
Day 1 to day 82.
Basically,
it was
yeah.
pretty much.
It does seem like, reading between the lines here, that this is Kim Dillabaugh's big chance. They're still trusting him for now. If it's true that he wanted Vladar, it's not as if Briere forced another goalie on Kim Dillabaugh. He is still listening to Dillabaugh, and Dillabaugh says, yeah, this damn Vladar kid, I can do something with him. Okay, all right, Kim, you get your guy. But if your guy stinks, or you can't get him to be at least 900 league average save percentage levels, perhaps you are no longer the right guy to be our goalie coach, and we'll bring in somebody who maybe Rick Tocchet has a longer rapport with.
Just someone he knows.
Yeah.
Maybe Ron Hextall. Who knows? They're friends.
I can't.
How freaking funny would that be?
Very funny.
That would be.
They would have to, because I know Bob Clark doesn't have, supreme power in the organization, but he's still Bob Clark. They would have to get both of those guys into a room and just lock the door and have them hash out their crap in 8 hours. Be like, you're not leaving this room until you don't hate each other anymore.
Yeah, and then here comes Dave Schultz. Yeah, we locked him in the room with Ron Hextall, and he tagged in his buddy. Yeah, but no, that's funny. But no, I did think that was kind of the biggest actual impact on the team. What does this mean? That was the big takeaway. Anything else that you thought was interesting from Vladar?
I did think it was interesting that I asked, why do you think you got on that good run to end the year? Why do you think that, was that just a hot streak? Were you just feeling it? Or do you think you can sustain that? And he basically said, well, that was when I finally started feeling healthy, after recovery from surgery. That made me feel a little bit more optimistic, where maybe this was a guy who, had he been healthy the entire year, had he been feeling good, maybe he finishes last year with a 908 save percentage instead of an 898, And
then we're looking at, did they get the best goalie on the market?
Exactly.
If that's the case.
Exactly.
Now, I don't know.
That was interesting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know, especially in that situation where you have the young up and coming guy there, you're going to come back maybe a little early to try to hold on to your job, and it maybe didn't work out for Vladar. Perhaps the Flyers are the benefit from this, and we got a pretty decent goaltender to split time with Sam Ersson. I thought those were really the only things that happened at these Meet the Media press conferences. Are just kind of
the Vladar one definitely had more interesting tidbits. He seems like a guy who is intent upon taking the next step in his career. He straight up said, I wasn't satisfied with my role in Calgary, and didn't act like he was bitter.
Yeah.
It seemed like he had a positive relationship with Dustin Wolf, but he looked at it as, hey, I'm getting 30 games a year here. Now they have Dustin Wolf, and Dustin Wolf is the guy, understandably. He had a great rookie year. I don't want to re-sign just to be Dustin Wolf's second for the rest of my NHL career. I want to take a chance and try to be better than that.
And I did like that part where he said that, and he's coming here to compete. And in my head, when they made this signing, I'm like, so they still kind of see Ersson as the number one. Maybe nominally right now, but he's not saying I'm here to compete if they told him you're coming here to get 25 games.
Oh, no. He wants to be, and he was very diplomatic. Vladar basically said, look, the distribution is going to be decided on who's playing better. If I'm playing better, I'll get more starts. If Sam's playing better, he'll get more starts. But I did find it interesting that when Jackie Spiegel, the Inquirer, asked Vladar, you're a little bit older than Sam Ersson, you have more experience, do you see this maybe that you can mentor him? And he's like, well, yes and no. I want to be a good partner, but also I still am just 27 years old. I'm not old. I still see myself as a young goalie who's trying to establish himself at the NHL level.
And
so I'm not going to be the shoulder for Sam Ersson to lean on. I'm trying to beat him out for the job. And in a fair way. I'm not going to be antagonistic towards him, but I'm 27 years old. I ain't that old.
That's the prime of a goalie's career. Yeah. The goalie prime we know is just a little later, and maybe our perception of it, because skaters 27. All right, you're established. What you are at 27 is who you are. And we've had some younger goalies, whether it's Hart or Sandstrom or Kolosov or whoever, like probably playing, and even Ayers, like playing a little younger than typical.
True.
And so we're bringing in a guy, and it's not old. This isn't a 33-year-old goaltender.
I mean, when I was 27, I still felt very young.
Yeah, I still feel young for the most part.
For the most part.
But no, I like that it's maybe my perception of the goalie situation isn't exactly, maybe this is a little bit more of a competition than I thought. And that's good for everybody. That's good for Vladar, and hopefully it pushes Ayers too, because I still think he has a future here if he can show that he's a capable tandem guy.
And I think that it is, like, one of my big concerns about picking Vladar as the guy was, this is a guy who's never played more than 30 games. I want it to be a split. Can Vladar handle a split? And I'm still worried about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an unknown. He might be able to. He's just never done it before in a way that other guys who were available had done it before. But I think it benefits Ersson if Vladar can play 40 games, because I want to see what Ersson can do in a pure timeshare role, not a role where he's being expected to start every game every week. I think he will benefit from that just because he'll conserve energy and not be tired.
And that's been my biggest thing about Ayers is I see something, but it's like, yeah, man, 3 times a week is too many for him. He just hasn't proven he can stay healthy and stay consistent in that many games. Maybe as he matures, he can, and I'm wrong that he can't be a starter. But right now, I'm looking for this to be a tandem relationship, and perhaps that's what we're going to see.
And before we do a break,
yeah.
We're at 81 likes.
That is not enough.
Those are rookie numbers. Let's get that over 100 right now.
Absolutely
right now.
Not enough. This better be 80 by the time I finish this, or better be 100 by the time I finish this ad read. Let's throw to that now and see if the people can catch up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. From their 90 million users worldwide to their almost 800,000 live stream events each year and early payouts. In baseball, that's right. I know I've told you about the NHL and NBA early payouts, but they have an early payout offer for Major League Baseball as well. With the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes 5 runs ahead with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. All you got to do, download the app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up, because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And we still have that breaking news offer from Bet365. New customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whether you win or lose, that's right. All you got to do is sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and get $150 in bonus bets, whether your initial bet wins or loses. It's that simple. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you were someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And now it's Pico time. Charlie, I walked into my garage yesterday, and it was
so happy.
Sauna in there.
Yeah, this Philly heat, especially now, it's no joke.
This humidity is here. So what I ended up doing, I got like 20 bags of ice. I went into my backyard, filled a baby pool with them. Nice little inflatable I have back there. Did a little cold plunge.
Why didn't you just turn on your air conditioner?
I'm trying to be energy efficient. I hear the cold plunges are good for you. You seem like a cold plunge kind of guy. And I'm trying to save a little bit of cash as well.
Okay, well, instead of filling up a baby pool, and I don't believe you have any children, William, but instead of filling up a baby pool that you don't yet need, you could just check out Pico's energy-saving rebates. They've got deals on Energy Star cooling equipment that actually work and cut your bills.
So no more ice?
It's the summer. Flyers aren't playing. They've already melted all the ice in the rink.
Yeah, that seems like what's up. I'm going to have to check this out. It seems like the way to go, Charlie. Thank you.
So just head to pico.com/ways to save. They've got tips for everything. Heating, cooling, lighting, you name it.
All right, let's get to the NHL news.
We easily broke 100, so well done,
100. Thank you all very much for your cooperation today. All right, let's hit some of this NHL news, some of the off-ice stuff that's been happening around the league. We've been wanting to get into CBA talks, and we've just had a few questions about some other things. To lead it off, Charlie, your dreams have come true. The draft is staying decentralized, probably.
This is so annoying. It's so annoying.
It was so bad.
It was so bad. And look, I'm not I'm not denying that this is a selfish desire on my part. The draft, when it's in person, is so much more fun than what we just dealt with for media people.
You didn't like sitting in a media room in AC?
Yeah,
just chilling?
Not the greatest. Well, you bailed on me on Saturday, you jerk.
What happened Saturday?
What happened Saturday was I had to write my article.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got my article done at 9, and I'm like, oh, like, let me text everybody and see if we could, like, go down on the floor, maybe, like, gamble a little bit, maybe get some drinks. Well, Brenna, understandably, was already asleep. Kelly was already asleep, which I expect. She goes to sleep early. So I was depending upon you, William. You had already left and went to Sea Isle. You bailed.
I took a nap. I got something to eat, and then I went to Sea Isle because my wife had a house with her mom for the week. I was like, you know what? I can't be in AC anymore.
You had the room for another night, man.
I was there for a while. I like left when you texted me. I was like, yeah, it's time. It's time. I just got to go. It was a long, and that's really my issue with the decentralized draft. Is that the first round took 4.5 hours, and then day 2 also took 4.5 hours, and that's just too much.
Yeah.
That's too. The draft doesn't need to take that long.
It was poorly run.
Especially like, okay, day 2, it's rounds 2 to 7. All right, that's going to take a decent amount of time. The 4.5 hours to make 32 picks. I realize it's a television show. No one's watching anything for 4.5 hours. It's not like this isn't binging the Righteous Gemstones.
Except for us.
Yeah.
Well, watch us for 4.5 hours.
Yeah, watch. Exactly. I bet you we would have had better numbers, and the league, more people would have watched it if it was not 4.5 freaking hours long.
I had people who literally DM'd me and added me on social media the next day, and they were like, I hope you're going to talk about the draft picks on Monday's show because I just don't feel like watching a 4.5 hour show. I didn't watch it live.
To them, I'm like, what the hell you think we're going to talk about? But no, like, it's insane. And also, there is the coverage element of not just covering the draft, but you and the rest of the assembled hockey media and all of the managers, everyone involved in the sport, basically, is in one place, and it's just this one time. That's it. This is the only time it happens, and now it doesn't exist.
It's very helpful from a building sources, from a fostering relationships perspective. It is, and I'm not denying this is entirely selfish. I want it, but it's worth pointing out, and I said this on Twitter yesterday, that every league, and it's not the draft, but every league has a yearly thing that functions as an industry conference. In the NBA, it's Summer League. Why do you think the entirety of the PHLY Sixers team is out at Summer League? Yeah. Because that is their industry conference. They're all out there. Derek, Kyle, Devon, they're all there because that is where you build relationships, get to know sources in person, and make it easier for you to do your job over the course of the year. In the NFL, it's the Combine. Everybody goes to the Combine. That is the industry conference. In baseball, it's the winter meetings.
Winter meetings, yeah.
Every league in North America has this. For hockey, it was the draft. Now, the draft isn't a thing, and they're not going to replace it because all the owners, not all the owners, I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush. Enough of the owners are too friggin' cheap that they don't want there to be an industry conference because they want to save,
on hotels
$30,000. Like, cool. That's like not even a signing bonus for an AHL player. And stop being cheap.
That was the big takeaway that I thought was basically being reported when they're like, yeah, we're not doing this again. And now it looks like it's staying decentralized, at least according to Elliot Friedman, who said there's going to be a vote to keep it this way. Yeah, there's a vote right now, not yet completed, but from what I'm canvassing, unless there's a wild swing in the few remaining to be submitted, the vote will be to stay with the decentralized format.
And Ken Robinson tweeted the same, he reported the same. So it seems like it's going to stay decentralized at least for one more year. What we really need is, and I have nothing against him, great player, did a really good job in Tampa, not doing nearly as good of a job in Detroit. I've reached the point where I want Steve Yzerman to lose his job because he is the biggest proponent of the decentralized draft. And it's just that. Like, maybe if he loses his job, then suddenly we'll go back to a good draft.
Are we like, oh, man, you know who we need to save money? The Illiches. Like, yeah, they're hurting for that 30 grand. Like, and from what I heard, and maybe not every team, but most of them, your scouts aren't centrally located. Now, the Flyers are like, yeah, fly everyone in. We'll get everyone hotel rooms and AC. Cool, whatever. It's the Flyers.
And in defense of the Flyers are, I would assume this time as well, but certainly last year, they were one of the teams that voted against decentralizing the draft. They are very much in favor. They're on the right side of history.
The vote was 26-6.
Briere and Dan Hilferty are on the right side of history.
The vote was 26-6 last time, and the Flyers were one of the 6 dissenters. And they did, like, I assume Vegas, maybe not in the summer because it's 140, but like,
it was pretty hot. But
it's probably still cheap, like, to get everyone. Like, it's still probably expensive, but like AC isn't cheap. And you still have to bring in all your scouts.
Yeah.
It's not like, we got guys in Russia, we got guys in Canada, we got guys who are in the Midwest. Like,
yeah, they have multiple
Sweden,
scouts
Finland,
that are based in Europe.
Yeah,
multiple
like,
scouts.
You have to bring them in anyway, whether it's to wherever the draft is or your war room.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know what you're saving. And that was kind of the reports. One of the reports that came out of this is the team's like, oh, we didn't actually save anything. So I thought it was going to go the other way, but nope. It looks like it's staying decentralized, and maybe the format will be different, that they can speed it up and they won't do the Zoom thing with the owners. Cause I just thought that was bad directing. Like, from a visual standpoint, we just have this new player, Matt Schaefer, and look, we got him with the jersey, and we have this awesome thing with, you know, the breast cancer thing with his mom's initials. It's a beautiful story, and now his back's turned. We see the back of his head. We already have a star-making problem in this league, and now you're not even going to show me the #1 overall pick's face. He's on the stage 10 minutes. I saw it for 3. Like, like, that's just bad. Like, it's ESPN, TNT. They know what they're doing. Like, they know how to direct sports. Well, and for some reason, this was just a debacle.
Well, that was one of my things. Like, when they initially released this was last year, when it was like, oh, the draft is going to be decentralized. And Elliot Friedman had this article, and he's like, well, you know, it's disappointing as a media person, but, you know, the NHL could find ways to make this work. They could turn it into a big event, the way the NFL does it, where it's like a celebration of the game and it's a big thing. And my response to that was like, Elliot, you have to know that the NHL is not going to do this. Like, you are assuming the NHL is good at creating things. Like, the best things they've created are things they've, like, basically fallen ass backwards into. Where it's like, oh, this was a good idea? Oh, wow. Amazing. We're shocked how well this worked. Like, they're terrible at coming up with ideas. They're never going to come up with a good idea.
If the original Winter Classic, 1, it doesn't snow, and 2, it doesn't come down to Crosby v. Miller in a shootout, is there another one? Like, that was just pure luck that it was, listen, it's a great idea. I love the outdoor games, and they're cool still for the local markets. But, like, if it's not the perfect storm, does it get nearly the reception? And then it's like, oh, well, this is a staple. And if this has to be part of our league.
And if Four Nations doesn't have the Kachuk brothers being like, yeah, we just want to beat up some Canadians to start this game. Does it become a thing? Like, probably not.
Yeah, like you fell into this thing and it turned out great, but there was a chance it didn't.
Yeah.
Like, what if no one cared because it's not the Olympics? You know, it's hockey, so there's a good chance they care because they're just a bunch of lunatics. But, like, you know,
I just think the idea that
what if more people did the Alex Pietrangelo and were like, I got a playoff.
The idea that the NHL is going to replace the centralized draft with another really good idea, like, you have a lot of faith in the NHL, Elliot. And I have the utmost respect for Elliot, but that struck me as like, man, you are cutting the NHL way too much slack here.
You're thinking something's going to go well when does it?
When does it?
All right. This is a question we've got a few times over the last couple of shows, the last week or so. And I think we've talked about it before, but for the people who haven't heard, like, our full explanation or just heard us, like, mention it in passing without the details, Charlie, why exactly are the Flyers reluctant to tap into LTIR with Ryan Ellis? Because I think people are looking at the cap right now and, like, on Puckpedia, because there's a couple guys, like, on the roster who won't be. They have like $300,000 in cap space. You have it.
They're at about 1.45
with the roster that they're probably going to have with Fedotov.
People are looking at Puckpedia and freaking out. Don't.
But it's still,
but they are close-ish.
It's still, even like with Fedotov down, and if like Dennis Gilbert gets waived or whatever, it's still like under $2 million. It's barely $1 million.
Yeah.
That's not a ton of cap space.
No, it's not. Especially if Forrester and Risto aren't ready for the start of the year.
If you look at Ryan Ellis and go, well, there's like over $6 million we could free up. Why are they reluctant to do that?
So really, it boils down to 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is the bonuses. So if you tap an LTIR, some people position LTIR as, well, you're allowed to go over the cap. Like, it's not like that creates space. It's not like it opens up $6 million of cap space.
It's an allowance.
It opens up $6 million of cap allowance. You are then allowed to go over the cap $6 million or however much you have on LTIR. But you're still over the cap. And if you are over the cap, that means that you have not saved any cap space. At the end of the year, when you look at it, it's like, okay, well, how much cap space did you leave unused? The answer is 0 because you were over the cap. You were just allowed to be over the cap by the NHL. Well, then you have bonuses. And players who get bonuses, like Matvei Michkov's cap hit right now is around $900,000. That's his cap hit for the year. But he has bonuses. At the end of the year, his actual functional cap hit
could be like 3.5.
Could be, yeah, it could be up to like 3 mil. And while I don't think it'll get necessarily to that, although maybe if he scores 100 points, it will be. It's definitely going to be higher than what his beginning of the year cap it is. They want to bank some cap space over the course of the year by being under the cap over the course of the year to be able to account for however many bonuses Michkov gets, however many bonuses like Luchenko and Martone get if they make the team, things like that. So that's number one. They want to give themselves some cushion because if you don't have the cap space in order to account for bonuses that kick in at the end of the year, those bonus overages roll into the next season. The Flyers, presumably, they've been talking about how we have all this cap space we want to use in 2026.
They don't want to suck that dry.
They don't want to be having $3 million carry over to next year when they plan to go big game hunting in the trade market and in UFA. So that's number one. Number two is it decreases your flexibility at the trade deadline because if you're going over, again, it goes back to the fact that you're not banking cap space. If you bank cap space, let's say every day you're under the cap, $1 million. You bank that space. You could theoretically spend that space over the course of the rest of the season. So if at the start of the year you're under the cap by 1.5 mil, by February you could theoretically pick up a guy with a $11 million cap hit because you've banked all that space.
Yeah, that's when you go on and like Puckpedia or Cap Wages or whatever, and it's like deadline cap space, and it's like a team well under the cap. Suddenly they have $90 million.
Yeah.
Like how? Because of that, you're allowed to accrue each day.
Right.
Like this is a daily calculation.
Right.
And so you can then spend that money all at once.
Right. Because if you look at it, like think of it this way. Let's say, and these are not correct numbers, but let's say that every day, if you go like 180, 95.5 mil, because that's the cap ceiling, divided by 180. Now, whatever that is, but let's for ease of math, let's say it's $100,000 a day. You cannot exceed $100,000 worth of cap spend a day at the start of the year. But let's say on day one, you only spent $95,000 worth of cap space. That $5,000 worth of savings then is added to what you could spend the rest of the year. So then theoretically on day two, you could spend $105,000 and you would still be cap compliant. Now, that might not sound like $5,000 might not sound that much. Well, if you do that for 100 days,
for 6 months,
suddenly it does sound like a lot. And then suddenly, if you want to make a big trade at the deadline or if you want to retain salary, then you have more flexibility. Now, if you were using LTIR and you were over the cap, you didn't bank anything, then the only cap you can add is what you can fit under that allowance. It's not what you bank. You don't bank anything. So ideally, you would like to stay under that, especially if you're not competing. If you're trying to win a cup, it's like, damn the torpedoes. Just use all the allowance. And maybe next summer, because there will still be one more year left on Ellis' deal, maybe they will tap an LTIR next summer if they go out and they sign a big free agent. It's going to be like, well, it's 1 year. We'll deal with the fact that that we're over the cap and bonuses, whatever. Fine, we'll deal. This year, when they're not trying to compete, they'd rather make sure that they're not going to have bonus overages and they're going to have maximum flexibility at the deadline. That's why they'd rather not go in LTIR.
And from an ownership standpoint, this might not be a Flyers issue because I can't imagine they care all that much, but we've seen them do it before, tapping on LTIR, and they've had issues like Chris Pronger being there forever, things like that. The owners want the salary cap because of what it costs certainty. Mm-hmm. This is the amount of budget we have to spend on players. When you go over that, you are over your business budget. A lot of owners don't want to do that. That's why we have the hard cap, and there's no like birds' rights or
It's
anything.
also why we have a cap floor.
Yes.
Because if some owners had the choice, they would not spend even the minimum.
Yes. And it's like, that's one of the reasons, like, oh, well, what if you had like the birds' rights, like the NHL, like you can pay your own guys as much as you want. It only counts a certain amount against the cap. No, they don't want to have money off the books, and LTIR is basically money off the books. They don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a Flyers problem, but it is. A lot of owners are like, so you're telling me I'm not allowed to spend more than whatever it is, 92 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm spending 100. No, like that's a whole really good player, $8 million.
I don't think that would be an issue for Comcast in the grand scheme of things. That said, look, Comcast is a major corporation. They have deep pockets, but would they be super excited about spending $105 million on a roster that no one thinks is any good?
That's especially for like the team and the situation they're in now, like, or in the last few years. So I'm spending $100 million on a team that doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
like I don't even get this back in playoff
and they're still
revenue.
Paying John Tortorella.
Yeah, and we have John Tortorella. Like there's all that. So they
just finished paying for AV.
Yeah, there's a plethora of reasons, and I think we just laid them out pretty well.
I think so.
Yeah. So that's that explanation. I know we've got a bunch of questions about that recently. Like we only have $1 million. Why don't we turn it into 7.5? Well, that's why.
And if a big trade were to come across Danny's desk, where it's like, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, Bill. But like let's
Charlie O'Connor reports.
Let's say Vancouver calls up the Flyers and they're like, yeah, Quinn Hughes just told us yesterday he's not re-signing with us. He wants to play for Rick Tocchet. Let's work out a deal. Then they could tap an LTIR to fit Quinn Hughes.
Do whatever you got to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, just whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's exactly. So that is.
So they have
you can
the
always do it,
but like I don't think they would do it unless there is a move where it's like, yeah, we got to friggin' do this.
Yeah, so that's that. All right, real quick on Porter Martone, because this has come up a little, and we were talking about this off air, and we were like, honestly, I have no idea. Can Porter Martone, and there's a whole bunch of other ways that this can go, but can Porter Martone...
Mortar Partone?
Yeah, Mortar Partone. That's the new Yam Cork. Can he sign an ATO to come to camp, play in the preseason, and then still potentially go to the NCAA, as has been rumored he may?
So the short answer is there are ways, I think, but we're in uncharted territory. Now, the first part of this is I don't think the ATO is even necessary because you see juniors guys, and right now Porter Martone is still a juniors guy. He is not committed to a school. He is not enrolled. He is still a juniors OHL guy. You've seen juniors guys come to camp without contracts, participate in camp, not make the team, participate in rookie camp, participate in the first part of main camp, and then go back without contracts. So he would not need an ATO. He could just do that.
Okay.
Now, the question is, could he still head to the NCAA? Realistically, no, at least not right away. Now, the thing I have presented as a possibility is he could, in theory, go to camp, not make the team, go back to the OHL, and then enroll in the second semester, and then start in the NCAA in like January, February, and then play the rest of the year in the NCAA. The reason why I would imagine it would be very difficult to just not make the team and then go back to the NCAA immediately is because school starts in September. You have to make your enrollment decision by August. So to keep the NHL camp option open, he would have to essentially blow off enrollment and blow off the first 3 weeks of school to do that. I don't necessarily think a school would be okay with that. He would be failing all of his classes, and then he wouldn't be NCAA eligible anyway. Now, the one thing that some people have proposed to me as a possibility, and this is where you get into, we are in uncharted territory here.
No one knows.
I don't know if anybody would be okay with this.
I don't know if Gary likes it. I don't know if the NCAA likes it.
Yes.
I don't know if these specific teams on either college or pro side would like it.
Yes. The idea of, well, what if he just took online classes and then like basically chose to go to Penn State, took online classes, went to camp without a contract, and then if he makes the team, signs a contract and drops out of college, boom, done. Now, to me, while I guess in a thought experiment way that might work, I don't know how realistic it is. But here's the thing. We're in uncharted territory here. We've never had this option where CHL guys can go to college before. So this is all new. I think this is something that like Danny would have to talk to the NHL about. Danny would have to talk to the school about. Martone would have to negotiate it in when he's choosing his school. Yeah. Like, I want to do this. Would you let me do it? There would be so many moving parts. My guess is it's unrealistic. But we don't know because we've never seen anybody try it because this is all new. So I don't want to say it's impossible. I just think it's unlikely.
This would take probably quite a bit of negotiating, like Charlie
With
said.
a lot of people.
With all different parties, because there's a lot of moving pieces here. So that's the Martone
Most
question.
likely the answer to this
Probably
is
not.
no, he could not go to camp and then go immediately back to the NCAA. I don't think that's, or go to the NCAA. I don't think that's likely to be a realistic option. The closest you could get to it in my mind would likely be he goes back to the OHL, then does World Juniors, and then enrolls for second semester and then goes to the NCAA for one semester. But then again, like, what would he even be that attractive to a college team given the fact that everybody knows he's probably turning pro the next year anyway? You're only getting him for a half season. Maybe some team would want him, but he wouldn't be as attractive as Gavin McKenna, who you're getting the whole year for.
You're getting the whole year.
There's a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts. The short answer is no idea what's actually even legal here or not because, as Charlie said, uncharted territory. All right, let's do our last commercial, and then we'll talk CBA. I got to talk to you about our friends at Ace Hardware Home Services and what they bring to your projects, because at Ace Hardware Home Services, whenever they get ready for the next job, they remember exactly what they got to bring because they bring experience. That's right. They're local plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installation and upgrades. They bring understanding. They listen to your goals, and the job isn't completed until you're satisfied. And they bring helpful. They bring helpful to your home so you can spend more of your time on the projects that matter to you. And they provide free estimates on equipment installation and replacement with trusted advisors and options that are best suited for your home and budget. It's never one size fits all. They're here for you. And it's service you can trust, and it's satisfaction guaranteed because Ace Hardware Home Services is local. Their teams live and serve in your community and are dedicated to keeping their neighbors comfortable in their homes. So visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. And now you know what time it is. 1-800-588-2300 Empire. I've missed you. I've missed you on the morning shows. Not everyone knows to chime in, Charlie.
It's essential.
It's essential. All right. I've been telling you for over a year now, there's no other choice when it comes to new flooring beyond Empire Today, because Empire Today has something nobody else does. It's flooring experts, people who live and breathe flooring that can do something no big box store or any competitor is prepared to do. They can bring the showroom right to your home. You don't have to go to the store, figure it out yourself, take all these measurements, and then hope you're right. And then once you realize the project is too big, find a contractor afterwards. No, that's not the case. Empire Today is with you every step of the way, and they bring the showroom right to your home. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space, in your space. See how it all looks with your furniture, in your house, the paint colors, all that. They take those precise measurements for you, answer all your questions, and Empire Today gives you clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day because you don't want to wait. You want your home looking right now. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. And PHLY listeners, this one's for you because you can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. You heard that right. $350 off with discount code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHLY for full details. All right, let's get into some CBA stuff here. I know you've been dying to do it, Charlie. You've been banging down the door. I'm like, not yet, not yet. But now I believe it's probably time.
They did actually release the full memorandum of understanding was released to the public like a couple minutes ago.
Okay.
NHL.com tweeted it out 12 minutes ago.
One thing that we just talked about yesterday when I talked about the idea of exceptional status players, like certain players can, at 15 play in the CHL and stuff like that. Why not have just for one player at every organization, especially when you draft someone young like Jet Luchenko, the option to have a 18 or 19-year-old in the AHL? Just one guy.
And it appears that is going to happen.
It appears that's going to happen. Too late to affect Jet Luchenko.
Yeah, well, it'll kick in when the CBA kicks in, which is not this season will still be under the last CBA. Next season, the 2026-2027 season is when it kicks in. So no AHL for Jet this year, unfortunately, but
it's an option going forward.
It could be an option, say, for Jack Nesbitt next season or any of the guys, a Matthew Guard, any of those guys, it could be an option for.
So Frank Saravalli says sources say a new provision in the CBA will allow NHL teams to place one 19-year-old CHL player in the AHL per season, one per organization per season, and 18-year-olds are ineligible. So Luchenko could not have gone last year, like under this,
Right.
but this year in his draft plus 2 season,
Right.
yeah, he's like, he doesn't even turn 19 until next month. He's young, but what does another year of CHL hockey do for him? He can play.
Especially when you're on a team like his.
Yes. If he was eligible, which he will not be, doesn't kick in until next year, but he would be an example of a guy who could go and play in the AHL.
Yeah. No, this is good news.
Yeah.
It's good news. It would only be one player, so you're not completely, sucking all the talent out of the CHL. The CHL is going to take enough hits with the NCAA sucking talent out of their pool. So you're not killing the CHL. You're not killing the Q, the Dub, or the OHL. But you are giving teams an option where they have a special player. It's functionally that whole exceptional status thing. That's basically what's going on here. You can play him in the AHL a year early. This is a no-brainer decision, no-brainer agreement. It will help teams in their developmental processes. It will help players. This is good. It's just a bummer it didn't kick in this season because the Flyers really could have used it, particularly with Luchenko.
Would be nice. There's changes to LTIR and salary cap in the playoffs.
It also, I guess, in theory, could be good. And again, we don't know how the Porter Martone thing goes, but let's envision a world where Porter Martone does not go to college, okay? And he tries to make the team out of camp. He doesn't make the team, and he has to go back to the OHL. This would then open the door for him to play in the AHL next season rather than have to do another year of juniors, which would be a total waste of
Just
time.
a waste of time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Changes to LTIR and playoff salary cap. It sounds like the LTIR thing is if you have a guy like Ryan Ellis who ain't playing,
That's fine.
if you put him on LTIR, you get the full
Because he
allowance.
actually can't play. He can't even skate anymore.
Yeah. Like you get the full allowance because we all recognize he can't retire. It's a guaranteed contract situation. But if you have, the Mark Stone, Nikita Kucherov situation, you don't get the full allowance. You are going to get a percentage of it. And then when he comes back, it's not no holds barred in the playoffs. Your on ice roster has to be cap compliant. You can be over in terms of your total, like you added, Florida added guys at the deadline and then took dudes off LTIR.
You got your black aces, guys like that. But the lineup.
The lineup on the ice, your 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, 2 goalies, that has to be within the constraints of the salary cap.
Seems fair.
Seems fair.
One question I did see from Genji Glove Gaming question, why can't Luchenko go to NCAA? It's actually a very simple answer because Jet Luchenko has already signed his entry-level contract. Once you sign a pro contract, even if it hasn't kicked in yet, because he has gotten the signing bonus, he's gotten some money, he is now a professional player, and he no longer has eligibility in NCAA.
I wonder if that's the next thing that gets challenged. Like, college players are professionals now, but we'll see.
Maybe. It could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
84 games. We've talked about that one. Whatever. It does even out the division schedule because, all right, I was just talking, Jastrzemski was on with Gargano before this, and we were talking Edmonton and Calgary only played 3 times this year, but they each played San Jose 4 times. Why? Yeah. So it's going to even out the division schedule, basically. The dress code no more thing I thought was interesting. Because it's framed as it's funny because Lou's out and now there's no more dress code.
That is funny.
But it's framed as a win for the players. But Jeff Marek on a show yesterday, I think, brought up an interesting point. He was texting with a lawyer about it. And this comes up in CBA agreements with cops and firefighters because of what does it mean when you're made to wear your uniform? That means you're on the job. If they dictate what you're wearing, you are under their employ. Could this be, although it's framed as a win for the players, this actually takes liability away from teams on the way to the rink or whatever, you're not their problem because you're not telling them what they have to wear until you get into the arena. You're not liable for what that player does.
So you're you're talking about if a player theoretically were to get into a car accident on the way to the game?
Yeah, something like that. Is this the team's problem? Because technically, if you told him what to wear, you are dictating his day, which means he's at work. That's kind of, he framed it that way. I don't know if that's a thinking or not, but it's one of those things. But no more dress code.
I think players just want to be able to wear what they want to wear.
Yes.
That's why they're considering it a win.
Sure. It was just something he brought up I wonder. But
I mean, again, utmost respect for Jeff Marek. I just wonder if he is like, he's right, I guess, in theory. It's just that it would take a weird set of circumstances for that to matter. For a guy to get into a car accident on the way to the game, for a guy to like be recording a TikTok where he says a slur on the way to the game. Like, yes, I guess it could happen, but it seems unlikely.
Sure. It was just one of those things. He was like, maybe that's a thing. And with a room full of lawyers, like when they brought this up, I wonder if Gary's like, actually this benefits us too. But that's that. Contract length, we talked about that. It's just everything goes down a year. Increased playoff fund, that's good for the players and doesn't come out of the hockey-related revenue split. Here's the interesting thing, the bonus and tax structure.
Yeah.
You were explaining this to me yesterday because my takeaway in terms of, what is it, prior to this new CBA, everything but the league minimum salary could be in a contract as bonuses.
In bonuses. And that was an advantage for, or thought to be an advantage for the big market teams.
Teams that are willing to give you all the money up front.
They just write you a check on July 1st, potentially for, $11 million. Obviously, a team backed by Comcast is going to be more willing to do that than like the Nashville Predators.
Yes. That was the whole idea behind the structure of Shea Weber's offer sheet.
Right.
But it seems like there's other ramifications to this other than big market teams get to give bonuses and now you've taken away that advantage. This is something actually Florida has put a lot of time and thought into.
They have.
That this is actually the biggest tax advantage for the no-tax states. And Dom at The Athletic, I can't say his last name.
Dom Luszczyszyn did a really good article at The Athletic. If you're still a subscriber at The Athletic, would highly recommend, because it was really interesting. And what I love about, like, my favorite articles are articles where you legitimately learn something new.
Yeah.
And the first half of the article that Dom wrote, it was more just like, okay, this is kind of what I already knew, what I already thought to be true. There's just now cold hard evidence to back it up that I can cite. The second half of the article, when he got into the bonuses, that was when I was like, I didn't even think of this being a thing, but it makes perfect sense now that you explain it to me and you show me that Florida has been a team that's taken the most advantage of it.
And so the new rule is, I think, 60%, only 60% of
bonuses.
the total value can be bonuses.
And your first thought was, man, that screws over the big market teams.
Yes.
That's the only reason why they did it. The way Dom explained it is, yes, it does hurt big market teams. They can't lean on the bonuses as much as they could, but it also is meant to cut back on the advantage of the no tax teams. Reason being, one of the, like, you look at Florida. Florida was, whenever they signed a guy to a deal over $30 million in value, most of that contract was done in bonuses. Now, obviously, part of it is, players want their money up front. That's part of it. But another part of it is it allows the players to avoid taxes even more than they would otherwise, because one thing that is said when you're talking about like, oh, well, you're in a no tax state, some people go back at that argument and they're like, yeah, but when you're playing on the road, you still get taxed. Like if you're playing in Philadelphia, if you're a Panther and you're playing the Flyers in Philly, you still get taxed according to Philadelphia PA tax laws.
City wage tax,
exactly.
all that stuff.
And that's why these players need accountants to work out all their things, because it's insanely complex with how often they're jumping around playing in different venues.
Yeah.
But the reason why the bonuses help you get around that is the bonuses only get taxed based on the location of the team. So the more you give a guy in bonuses, none of that gets taxed.
Now he's not taxed on the road either.
Right.
And that is something I hadn't really considered.
I hadn't considered it either, but it makes perfect sense.
That is Florida state income. It's
you get
not
to keep
money
more of
you
your
made.
money.
It's not money you made in your, biweekly paycheck or whatever.
Right.
So you not only don't get taxed in Florida, you don't get taxed anywhere else except for, your base salary, which is the only thing, and it's league minimum most of the time, that is subject to the taxes. So it does take away a little bit of that advantage.
Yeah.
And there was more in this, just like...
But that's big, because like now it's down to 60%. It's still an advantage. You can still give out 60% of the contract in bonuses, but it blunts the advantage a bit for the Floridas, for the Vegases, for the Dallases.
It offsets it a little. And another aspect of this, contracts are going to be a lot less buyout proof. That was a big thing. Like, you look at Sean Couturier's contract and the savings, if they were to buy him out, because it's basically all bonuses, you'd save whatever league minimum is. Like, that's it. There's no savings, and that's why they won't buy out Sean Couturier. And maybe he can still play. But you just look at it, like, you hit the buyout calculator, and we saved like $500,000 or whatever. There's no reason to do this. You can't even get a player for this amount of money. That is a little less of an advantage for, I guess, the players because, we can still buy you out. And you're not going to get nearly as much up front as you would. But that's
true.
that. And Dom went on to talk about the
advantage.
The actual advantage the tax-exempt teams have. And this was really interesting to me as well because, yes, re-signing your own guys, it's different, and guys will take a hometown discount. And in Florida's case, listen, we're going for a three-peat. We're trying to be the greatest team since the freaking 80s Oilers, you know? So we're going for it. So they're willing to take a little bit of a cut. But overall, you look at this, it's less of an advantage. Kelly would be celebrating if she was here today because we're kind of putting the tax thing, maybe not to bed, but at least
it matters.
It's not.
It absolutely matters.
It's not a huge deal when you look at this part of the conversation. Dom tweeted this stuff out, and he put out that graphic we just showed you. And then one of the comments below the graphic is, by that chart, I'd say being a cup contender holds at least equal weight to the no state income tax thing. And you look at it, and Dom says, average difference between no state tax and the rest, about $600K. No state tax teams, the average for a free agent, they spend about $600K less per player.
Right.
The average difference between contender and basement team, also around $600K. So it is one of these, it's a factor, but no more of a factor than like going to a good team. And the example of this, the team at the very bottom, the team that gets the least savings, it's Seattle. Washington, a no state tax team.
Yeah.
They don't have that advantage because they're no good. No one's trying to go there.
Yeah, they're bad. They have to overpay for guys.
Florida also just has the inherent advantage of no one cares and it's warm all the time.
Yeah, like Seattle's a fun city, but it rains all the time.
It's always raining there.
It's not exactly a destination climate-wise in the way that Florida is.
Like even you look at the Flyers, their average is like $500,000 they pay more for a random free agent than like the average team, you know, based on Dom's models, which are usually pretty dead on.
But this is why you see, and you know, you look at this, and Dom mentions that there's some collinearity, which means that the two things it's hard to separate out. Like, okay, well, is Florida saving money because they're a no tax state, or are they saving money because they're real good? It's probably a little bit of both, and they combine in on each other. But it shows why Florida does have such an advantage because they have both. They're both a contender and they're a no tax state.
They're the best team in the league. And you don't pay taxes, and it's beautiful weather. Yeah. And a lot of their guys just want to stay.
So they have a lot going for them right now. That said, and we've talked about this on the show before, while Florida is uniquely situated to benefit when they're good to take full advantage of this, when they're bad, then they don't get the $600,000 boost of being good. And because no one shows up to the games when they're bad, the owners are going to be less likely to want to spend that money in the first place. So it's easier for them to stay good, but probably harder for them to get good in the first place.
That's why, and we're going to do this maybe in a mini pod, like 20 years it took Florida. Like the rebuild was like 3 rebuilds and it took 20 years because when you're not good, it's very hard for those teams to like acquire the talent and keep it to get good. But that's the CBA stuff, and I wanted to get to that bonus and tax thing because I just find it interesting. I think it's something I've brought up a ton, and it's something Kelly and I have gone back and forth on. And listen, it seems to be a factor, but no more than any other individual factor when players are choosing a destination.
I would agree with that. All right, let's hit overtime. We only got a few super chats, and then let's call it a show.
Absolutely.
Hit the weekend.
We're going to overtime. Head to allphly.com now if you're part of the TV audience. There we go. I do it for Kelly. All right. And let's hit those super chats. I don't think we have a ton today.
We have 3.
3. Perfect. Let's lead it off with Catholic Nano. It says, maybe off topic, but in a hockey fight, who would win, Dave Schultz or Ben Wilson?
So I'm obviously extremely familiar with Dave Schultz, and I've seen clips of his fights. Dude was a monster. I am not very familiar with Ben Wilson.
My answer
I imagine that he was very tough, but I know very little about his level of toughness.
My answer is
I didn't watch him.
Dave Schultz ain't following no code. He is going to pull your hair. He's going to headbutt you. He's going to win the fight. That is my intake on Dave Schultz. Whenever I have seen a Dave Schultz fight, it's
no
like
holds barred.
It's like a street fight. I am not trying to win some sort of award here. I am trying to not get punched in the face. Mm-hmm. And that's a fight. All right. So from Christopher O'Donnell says, why is Charlie so handsome? Happy CBA day. It's just those redheads, man. They age well.
Do we?
I think so.
Yeah.
I know how old you are, and I'm like, I have no idea how old Charlie is. All right. And from Gary B to wrap it up here, I wish the NHL would have owners meetings, like the winter meetings, stuff like that. Owners could wipe their A with the money being saved. I feel yes. They could.
They should have
some sort of something.
If they're not going to have a centralized draft, they should have some sort of industry conference thing. I just don't trust that they will, because I think the owners will look at it as, well, we don't have to, and it'll save us money. So why would we?
Why would we do this?
Yeah.
Screw that. And we know maybe no sport more openly like antagonistic with the media. Like, we don't care.
Yeah.
Like, than the NHL.
Yeah.
Hence why, one of the many reasons they are the fourth sport.
It's a big reason.
Yeah, we don't really care.
Yeah, attention? No, we'd rather be playing in an empty rink.
I swear, the dream for the NHL is the Lake Tahoe game.
Yeah.
Nobody there. We're just out playing some hockey, and after the game, media can't come talk to us.
Yep.
That is the dream of 3/4 of the players and all of the owners and general managers, I swear.
Definitely Ron Hextall. That was his dream.
He didn't want to talk to his coworkers. Hey, how you doing, Ron? F you. All right. And that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers today. I hope you found today's show fun and informative. I know I did. Make sure you're following us on right here on the YouTube page. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, set that reminder bell so you get notifications whenever we go live. Follow us on all the socials and follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. That's it for us. I am Bill Matz. That is Charlie O'Connor. Till Monday, be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the mayor.